Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika, all right? And this is 61st Street that I'm going to be doing a recap on, you guys. I'm talking about episodes 1 through 3, giving y'all a little recap, all right, of what has been going on so far, trying to find out if any of you are watching it and whether you like it or not, what your thoughts are, and all of that good stuff. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right. First of all, this series is on AMC. Okay. It is produced by Courtney B. Vance and executive producer Michael B. Jordan. All right. And this series is about a boy named Moses Johnson, who is a promising athlete, okay, with a bright future ahead of him, until he ends up getting accused of murdering a police officer during a drug bust gone wrong, y'all. And he's swept up into the infamous corrupt Chicago crime system, and Moses' case is then taken up by the agency public defender, who is Franklin Roberts, who is played by none other than Courtney B. Vance. All right. And of course, we know Courtney B. Vance from Lovecraft County, Aretha, and so many other things. All right. And so, Courtney B. Vance, character Franklin Roberts, basically takes on this case and sees it as a chance to finally challenge the justice system. Okay. And so that is basically the synopsis of this series. And we start out the series meeting Moses, seeing him on the track, right? Seeing that he is a track runner. He's apparently very good at it. And he has a full scholarship to college. We hear him and his coach discussing this and him telling him how good he is. He actually gives, Moses a pair of sneakers as a gift and, a reward to him for doing so good. We see in Franklin Roberts with him on his way to work. He's looking like he's in a lot of pain, like if he's struggling to walk, I should say. And then at the same time, we're seeing Moses, his brother, walking, I guess on his way to go to school. At the time that we see him, I should say Joshua, Moses' brother, walking. At the time, we don't know that they're brothers, right? And we meet this cop named Michael, okay, who is meeting up with this CI in the bathroom and giving him money, and they're having a conversation. And basically in the conversation, this CI is mentioning to Michael about how hard they have been coming down on the nation, and that the faction, okay, has been getting away with a whole bunch of stuff on the south side, right? And so all the heat is only coming to them, and we basically, like I said, see him give money. So we can tell that these are two different groups. I don't know if one is black and one is white or what's happening with that. And so after that, we see Michael at home and we see him putting on this, wire. And him and his wife is talking. We're finding out that he has 5 kids. The last one was just recently born. They have a brand new baby. She's asking him, well, why are you doing this at home? Don't you normally do this, at the station? And he never answers her, but she did find that to be weird, okay? We get Franklin getting to work and he has to kind of rush into the bathroom or whatever have you. And he seems like he's having a hard time peeing. He actually gets to his court case late because of the fact that he's in pain and struggling. And when he gets into the case, the court or whatever, the case is basically about this mother who I guess the father had to go and steal milk and he had got locked up. And the judge is asking, well, why are they still in milk and why they don't got the money or why she didn't just breastfeed? And he was like, Your Honor, she's having a hard time with breastfeeding. Her nipples are very sore at this point because of the baby crying so much. The neighbors have threatened that they would come next door and kill the baby and this and that. And he was like, they didn't have any more money because they spent it on Pampers. Well, this judge didn't give a damn, okay? He ended up giving the guy 3 months. And that pissed off Franklin, and him and the judge end up having some back and forth words. And then the baby mother actually end up blaming him for the case going bad and the guy getting 3 months. So we already see, a little bit of how this system is. So in the meantime, you have Michael come into, work, and he goes in to see his lieutenant. He's trying to find out if he's getting this promotion for sergeant or not, okay? Him and his wife also were discussing that, and she was telling him she know he got it, and, there's no reason reason why he shouldn't and all of that kind of stuff. And so when he comes in, the lieutenant basically just passes him this little teddy bear that has a police cap on, and it was like, congratulations on the baby, this is a gift for y'all. And then Michael goes, I didn't get the promotion, did I? He's like, no, unfortunately you didn't. And so he's like, well, who did it go to? And he tells him, oh, come on, don't be a bitter cop, you know what I mean? Just move on, or whatever the case may be. There could be a chance for you to get some, get it later down the road, essentially. And so Michael stops to tell him, about the conversation he had, and the fact that, the man that he has on the inside is saying that the nation has basically been wondering why all the heat is falling on them, and the fraction gets freedom on the south side. He tells him he don't care who it is and that they take down, okay? The people are all the same to him, but he does feel like they should have to pay for getting a pass, all right? Meaning the faction. And the lieutenant is like, pay who? What do you mean? He was like, at the end of the day, this is just where the heat is now. And so Michael was like, oh, okay. And then he says to Michael, is these your thoughts or your theory, or is this just CI's theory? And he says, no, it's his. So in the meantime, he also tells him that they're going out on this bus. So Michael goes out to his car. He has this partner, named Logan. And Logan is Mark O'Brien, okay, who played in City on a Hill, right? The sergeant is Hope McCauley, who has been in Law and Order, CSI, Criminal Minds, Monk. I noticed that most of these people have been on Law and Order at one time or another, right? And so basically, Logan is pretty much just as upset as Michael. He like, you deserve that? Are you kidding me? You didn't get it, and what was the reasons that they gave you and who they said was getting it? And he's asking the same questions that Michael was, okay? And Michael also tells him a little bit about the fact that, he has this CI or whatever. He has something else going on, but he don't get to fully get into it because at this point they are now at the bus, all right? And so Moses basically is walking home and notices his brother Joshua out there, where when Joshua was walking home, he had got stopped by these drug dealers or gang members, whatever. And they were pretty much asking him what he was doing there and messing with him. So, of course, Moses is going to step up like, that's my little brother. Leave him alone. He was like, come on, I'm going to go ahead and walk him home now. And you have this other person come up and be like, well, who are you? You supposed to be big and bad now, and you think you all of that because, what I'm saying, you in college and you getting a scholarship and so on and so forth. And so I didn't realize it the first time we're watching the episode, but when I watched it the second time, I realized that this is the same person that was the CI that Michael was talking to in the bathroom. And he basically, was saying, oh, well, Mr. Athlete, let me see you run or whatever, being though you're supposed to be this track star. He starts laughing, and instead of him pointing the gun at Moses, he pointed the gun up. You know how when they get ready to do those track races and they like, you off and shoot it up. And so he was like, ready, set, go. And he shot the gun up at the air. But at the same time that he shot the gun up at the air, little did they know the cops was approaching to do this bust. So I guess them seeing him with the gun holding it up as he shot up in the air, they shot him clean through the daggone chest, y'all, okay? And the next thing you know, he was laying on the floor, and they was telling everybody to get down, including Moses and Joshua. And for whatever reason, because at first I was like, Moses, why the heck did you run? Everybody else got down, and Joshua was screaming after him. Moses goes running. He's running all through the train stations, buildings, everything you could think of. Homeboy was going over it, okay? Jumping over, under, and through. And some kind of way, Michael was still able to come out near him, and he gets him back into this corner, and then Moses tries to run again. Initially, he ends up nudging him to get him out the way and proceed to keep running, but Michael falls backwards, and it's this big pipe that's laying there with a nail coming straight out of it, and that goes into his head. And so basically, Moses does stop and was like, oh my God, get up, man, breathe, 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 are you okay? He was like, I didn't mean to. Why did you get in my way? Why did you come after me? He was like, you're gonna be okay, just breathe, breathe, breathe. This scares the hell out of him. And then he goes off still running, because now he's even more scared. Basically when he touches him, he has blood on his hands, and then his partner Logan comes rolling up right at that moment, and Moses go running away, and the partner basically put his attention to Michael and trying to make sure that he's okay, trying to do CPR with him, and he realizes that Michael still had the wire on him, right? And he didn't know anything about the wire, and he doesn't know why he would be wearing a wire. So he took it off of him before the paramedics or anybody could get there. All right. So now Moses is officially considered to be a cop killer with this incident happening. All right. And so, oh gosh, just bad, 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 right? Because you already know what they gonna do if they feel like you killed a cop. And so Moses goes off running. He's hiding different places or trying to find different places that he can hide. You have the other boy that got shot, mother coming and crying, and the cops talking about, everybody, somebody, baby, huh? They could care less that he's basically got killed. And they take Joshua, and this part really pissed me off, y'all. Is a reminder of, teaching your kids how to talk to cops and what to say and who to ask for and things of that nature, because they basically tormented this little boy and was telling him, he's going to be the one to take the fall for the murder if he does not tell them what's happening. Essentially Michael does die, and his partner takes it real hard. He's cursing out the EMS, telling them not to stop, and then the lieutenant tells him somebody got to go let his wife know, and of course they go, and as soon as she opens the door and see his face, she already knows that Michael is gone, and she basically breaks down. And so of course they have this manhunt, sorry y'all, if you can see I'm still congested, out for Moses. And like I said, they are going super hard on his brother. They're making all kind of different threats to him, saying he's gonna be the one to go down for a murder. They calling him everything but a child of God, all different type of animals and this and that, and he is scared out of his mind. At one point the lieutenant tells these two officers to take him for a ride. Mind you, one of the officers is black, but of course that don't make no difference. And they literally took this boy and threw him in the river. I thought they was gonna kill him at that point, and so he keeps telling them, I don't know nothing, I was just on my way home. And they keep trying to group him in, of course, with who they assume to be drug dealers and gang members and all of that. And he's like, no, that's not true. I literally was just trying to go home from school. I'm a good boy. I'm not mixed up out there in the streets. I have no parts of the drug dealers and things of that nature. But they do not want to hear it. They're like, you're going down for murder of a police officer, okay? So this part had my freaking blood pressure going up sky high, y'all. He didn't know to ask for a lawyer. He didn't know to ask for his mother. And meantime, you see his mother actually calling, trying to get either one of them on the phone, and she can't get nobody. The next thing you know, they busting in the mama house, okay? They telling her to her face her child is an animal. They try to plant freaking drugs on her. Again, is the black officer that pulls out some heroin and talking about, look what we found in here. She's like, no, you didn't find that in my house. And she's like, no, my sons are good. They both in school. Moses didn't do nothing. He wouldn't hurt nobody. He wouldn't kill nobody. At one point, one of them picked up, I think it was the lieutenant, picked up a statue, and she was telling him, please be careful with that. And he was like, you want me to be careful with this when your son basically murdered one of my guys and he can't go home to his wife? And so they even bring the daggone mother in, telling her that they are going to arrest her and book her for having heroin or whatever the case may be, because at one point they bring up Joshua, and she like, wait a minute, you got Joshua too. Why do you have Joshua if you claim you looking for Moses? Okay. And at the same time the phone rings and it's Moses that's calling, and so they tell her to answer it and tell him to turn himself in, but she answers it and tells Moses, run, okay, run like you never ran before, keep running, don't turn back. So of course this pisses them off even more, because mama is not trying to, basically let them get her son. And she's still yelling and screaming that he didn't do nothing and sticking by that. And of course, at this point, Moses is just kind of sleeping in whatever different little, side streets and gutters that he can, okay? And, then they put it out on, the radio, the news, whatever have you, spreading the word that he has done this. And you essentially have, Franklin Roberts come in and he's seeing his wife looking upset, and he's like, what's going on? And she tells him Moses has been, a cop has been shot, and Moses basically has been, the one that they are accusing of doing it. And he's like, no, 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 no way, no way. Apparently they know them, they've been close with them. I didn't even realize it at first, but Moses' mom actually works in the courthouse cleaning, and was one of the cleaning people that was there when Mr. Roberts was having a hard time and had to run in there and hurry up and use the bathroom. She was saying she would step out so he could go ahead and take care of his business. So he knows them, you know what I mean? He knows Moses. He was like, nah, Moses, he's a good kid. He's never had no problems. He's never been in trouble. He got a full scholarship to school. And by the way, the wife, I should say, of Franklin Roberts is played by Aunjanue Ellis, and I love her. Of course, she comes from also Lovecraft County, Book of Negroes, King of Richard, you name it. I'm so happy to see her out here getting her bag, okay, in every way that she can. And so she is playing Franklin's wife, and she's like, yeah, I understand all of that, I hear all of that, but this is what it is, okay? He is being accused of doing this, all right? And we also find out that she is basically running for office too. All right, we see that they have an autistic son, and that Franklin is trying to, kind of guide his son and give his son the instructions for riding the train, on counting and taking his time and moving slow and talking slow and things of that nature, which stop he got to get off on. There's different times when the son is dancing and they're telling him what to do with the dancing, and they're just, bigging him up, and they really seem like they are, a good team together. And so he even at one point was saying to his wife, he's been a lawyer for so long. He's probably had like over 7,000 cases. And in the midst of him having all of these cases, he basically feels like, what good have I done? Especially after losing that first case that was with the mom with the newborn baby that they couldn't afford the milk, and she told him, you have done a lot of good. So he's kind of second guessing himself with that. And on top of it, he's been to the doctor because, like I said, we see him in pain, we seen him having a hard time peeing and all of that kind of stuff. And so at this point, he goes to the doctor, and the doctor tells him, look, we're going to have to do a biopsy. These are the things that we think it could possibly be. And he makes the joke, oh, okay, yeah, B before C, right? Because being as though this is prostate, being as though we're talking about biopsy, of course, we know that cancer could be the next thing with that. And so they go ahead to do all the steps they need to do. But in the meantime, he isn't been telling his wife any of this, okay? He has been keeping it to himself, and then still trying to go to work. And so we basically have, him go to a friend, right, that he knows that basically works at this barbershop. At this point, they got his picture. They see a video because it was a camera in the area where this accident took place. And they're even trying to convince, or I should say the lieutenant is trying to convince Logan to say that Moses came after him, where he's like, no, Moses didn't come after me. When he seen me, he just went off running. And he was like, don't you want to fix that statement? Did he come after you? So he says, well, it's been a long day. You've been through a lot. Go home. But before you go home, you need to go ahead and give us all your clothes, because now they're considered as evidence because they're part of the crime scene. And so when Logan goes in the back to dress and take off the stuff, he basically remembers about the wire. He still wants to hold on to that because he's not too sure what exactly is on it. So he kind of tells the cop, can you give me some privacy for a minute, so that way he can hurry up and put the wire in his bag. And he gives him all the rest of the clothes, and then he goes to go home, right? And so basically they're already trying to change the narrative of how everything went down and cover themselves. And again, they still just are attacking this boy Joshua for hours and hours and hours. Excuse me, guys. They now have the mom at the precinct too. And they going in on her. They like, oh, but we'll take your kids, we'll call ACS and tell them that you had this heroin there and that you basically got arrested. And so by you getting arrested, this is an unfit household for you to be raising your kids in, and all of that kind of stuff. And she's like, y'all full of it, y'all planted that there, you know what I'm saying? I don't care what y'all doing, I'm not gonna fall for the okey doke. But then she gets upset because she ends up seeing them walking with her son Joshua past her cell. And she like, where the heck y'all taking Joshua to? Why is he here? And of course, when he hears her yelling for him, he starts yelling back for her, getting upset. And come to find out, what they did was they placed cameras all around their house, bugs, whatever have you, so they could be able to listen to him, I guess, if Moses contacts them. And then kind of tells her, oh, well, Joshua's going home. Don't you want to go home too? You free to go home now too. And gonna ask her, do she want to be dropped off? And she like, hell no, I don't want nothing from y'all. Y'all have done enough. And so at this point, Moses, like I said, found a friend that worked at a barber shop. He goes to him, he kind of cleans him up, cuts his hair, gives him some clean clothes, and then tells him that he could take him by his girlfriend's house to stay. And he's telling him he don't want to be no trouble, and he's like, you would do the same thing for me. So basically, we see that he's trying his best to help, Moses where he can. We have Martha, which is Franklin's wife, Miss Angelou Ellis. Like I said, she's running for, office. And so she actually is very nervous to give this speech. And the lady's like, well, why don't you take off your shoes? That's an old trick from my grandmother. Whenever she got nervous, she wanted to feel her feet on the ground. So she comes out barefoot and she gives this speech. And she starts off by telling them, I hate politicians. Y'all already know that. Y'all know me. Most of y'all have came to gatherings where I've cooked. I've came to stuff where y'all cooked. We've taught y'all how to dance, so you know me. And she was like, I guess you're asking why somebody that hates politicians would basically be running and asking for your vote. But she was like, I basically feel like I gotta be the change I want. I gotta fight for, what I know that this community needs and things of that nature. And she's in full support of defund the police, all right? And so she's basically giving a speech on that, and they seem to be loving everything that she's saying. You have Logan, Michael's partner, still looking at this wire, still trying to figure out what exactly Michael was up to. He tries to go and have a conversation with the wife to see if maybe he could pick up anything from her, if she would tell him about the last conversation they had, but she doesn't mention anything of it, all right? And so she's just talking about how everybody's been stopping by to see her. The mayor even came. She like, I don't want to see none of them. I want to see my husband, okay? Right now, they have still not let her see him at all. And he's saying, well, technically, that's because he is still considered a crime scene. They haven't cleaned him up. So unfortunately, you're going to have to wait for that, right? And of course, we're seeing, Moses' brother and his mom struggling, them crying and hugging each other once they get home. So you had, Moses' friends take him to his girlfriend's house, put him down in the basement for him to hide down there. And in the meantime, he tries to reach out to, a pastor, I guess, to get help, right? To see how he could possibly turn himself in, whether he should run, whatever his next steps is going to be. Okay. And we then have the police come in to that same friend that was basically the one that cut his hair at this barbershop that he worked, put a arrest warrant up on the wall, basically making all them put their hands up. The friend is saying how he haven't seen Moses, but unfortunately, where he made the mistake at is that when he had Moses change his clothes, he did not throw away the shirt, okay? And one thing that Moses' clothes always have in the shirts, from what we see, is that his mother always puts his name in the shirts, which make me wonder, and especially with how he was acting too, if he's on some type of spectrum, okay? They don't say this, but that's what I feel. We also see that the drug dealers is having a hard time moving their drugs because of the fact that the cops is out here, because of course if somebody killed a cop, they gonna be on your ass. They not trying to let nobody rest until they find them. And so this is kind of messing up their flow with that. And so now you have the one of the bigger bosses tell the guy, at this point we gonna have to turn Moses in, find out where he at, so we could get back to business as usual, because this is messing up our business. So now you have the cops that want to fire Moses, and then you have the drug dealers that basically want to turn him in because this is bad for business with them, all right? And They do reach out to the Reverend. The Reverend is actually friends with Franklin Roberts. He's checking on him too, as far as his situation goes and his health goes, to see how he's doing. And he's basically like, can you come with me? And they both go and see Moses and check on him or whatever at the house where he's at. And so, you know, they tell him, you have to figure out what you want to do. You could either be running forever, okay? The only way you going to get back to the life you wanted and you going to school and being this track star and all of that is if you fight this and prove that, you know, you're innocent or whatever the case may be. That's the only way we can help. You know, we can arrange a surrender to the right cop and we can do this the right way, because if you leave it any other way, God forbid, they gonna end up shooting you. You're not even gonna make it to the courts, okay? That's the reality. And so he says he wants to see his mother at first. You know, they like, at least this way you would be alive. And so they told him this is the hardest part and he have to decide now. You know, he's asking them what they would do. And they like, no, this has to be your decision. So when he says that he wants to see his mom, they do go to the mom house. At first she breaks down hysterical seeing them because she thinking they coming to tell her he dead. But he like, no, we just saw him. We was with him. He's okay. You know, he's basically changed his clothes and he's cut his hair and he's safe and he's ate, all of that kind of stuff. So he was like, you know, you as his mom is going to have to go in there and tell him what to do. Well, Mr. Joshua, the little brother, overhears this and he decides, I don't know why, he going to sneak out the daggone house, all right, and go to find out, you know, his brother whereabouts on his own. He's going to the barbershop to try to talk to them and ask them questions. You know, he's going to the damn drug dealers that's outside talking to them. And I'm like, why, Joshua? Who asked you to do that? Like, slow down. And so in the process of all of that, we also have, you know, the damn cops that was bugging the house overhear the conversation too. So they already knowing to look out for wherever the mother or the brother is going, because that's going to lead them to Moses. Of course, they don't know about the bugs. And so when he comes across the drug dealer, of course, this is the same drug dealer that his boss already told him, you know, we got to hurry up and get rid of this whole Moses situation because it's getting out of hand. And, you know, we need him to be gone so that we could get back to our business. Of all people, it had to be him. So you have, you know, the lawyer and his mom on the way to him, trying to take different, you know, detours and throw the cops off so that they can't follow him. At the same time, you got the drug dealer coming with the little brother looking for him. And they end up freaking following them right to the house. I'm like, really, y'all? And mind you, the girlfriend don't know all this time that her boyfriend even brung him there. So she's like, I don't know who the hell no Moses is. And she closes the door in the little brother's face. Not even 5 seconds later, the cops is basically breaking in her damn door, telling her to get down. She like, okay, I'm down, I'm down. And, you know, Moses again goes running, right? But they catch him in the backyard. They probably would have just shot his behind down right then and there, because the cop was telling him to run, to give him a reason to shoot him. And he was like, no, please don't. And he stopped. And then when he stopped, you know, Franklin Roberts, the lawyer, and the mother was in the back screaming, don't shoot him. And Franklin lets them know that he is his lawyer and that he is turning himself in. So that is basically how they caught him with that. You know, we get to episode 3, which was called Barefoot and Dangerous. All right. And basically with episode 3, we have, you know, now it's time for Michael's funeral. We have a press conference going on where they're coming up and asking, you know, Logan to talk. Logan don't really want to talk, okay? He's still very emotional about this whole situation. And he's also trying to figure out where this whole, you know, Wyatt thing came into play. We have, you know, Miss Martha, Franklin's wife, going up to give another political speech. And apparently she has been put in the paper as Barefoot and Dangerous, okay, the name of the episode, because there's basically this reporter that's there to see her. And so in the midst of that, she kind of blows up the reporter like, oh, we got a reporter here. You know, he said I'm barefoot and dangerous. She was like, of course, they always want to label us, you know, dangerous or angry or whatever, right? And, you know, when it's women, we not supposed to do different things. And she starts giving different examples and breaking down throughout history, and especially women that have tried to go into politics and things like that, the things that they say. And so she says, yes, I am barefoot and I am dangerous. I am both those things, okay? But instead of being worried about what I'm wearing or what I'm not wearing, worry about what's in my head, worry about what's coming out, you know, out of my mouth, worry about the things that I stand for. And like I said, she puts him on blast, you know what I'm saying, with that whole thing. And everybody's basically cheering and clapping and you know, agreeing with her when she's saying that. And so we have Logan actually listened to the recording that he had from The Wire finally, and he's playing it over and over and over, trying to get an understanding of what they talking about, you know. And it just so happens that the whole time Michael was recording not only his conversation that he had with the guy, but he was also recording the whole time that he went in with the sergeant. So he heard everything. But yet when they went out for this, you know, kind of like not really a celebration, but a get together to talk about what was their last words that they had with Michael, you know, remember him or whatever the case may be in his life and legacy, he's asking the sergeant, you know, what was your last conversation? And he basically lies about the whole thing and says, you know, that the last conversation was about him going to this cabin. So he already know that he's full of crap with that, because he heard the conversation for himself. So he know it wasn't that, you know, and then he in turn lies about it, you know. And so I was like, Lord, this is a mess, you know. And then we have, you know, him going, you know, them bringing Moses in or whatever, right? And of course, they're trying to trip him up with his words. They trying to basically say, you know, oh, I'm just going to fill this out and you're just going to sign it. And Moses falls for it, which pissed me off because his lawyer had already told him, don't talk to them about nothing. Wait for me to get there. I will be on my way. And so they basically have him, you know, where they saying that they wording it specifically for the legal system or for his lawyer, whatever. And he's like, oh, well, the way the guy was talking, you know, he made it seem like he was helping me. I thought he helped me. And his lawyer, Franklin, is like, well, what the hell do you think now? Because no, he wasn't helping you. Why would he want to help you? And of course, Franklin is pissed off about this, and he approaches the cop like, what did you do? And of course, he's like, oh, what did you see me do? And asking the other officers, like, you saw me do anything? He was like, your client admitted to it, okay? And that's that on that. And so, you know, then when he goes to his boss, Franklin, okay, goes to his boss, the boss is telling him, no, you're not going to be going in this case. You know, I'm giving it to somebody else. So Franklin tells him, well, I'm going to step down then. Okay, I'm going to step down and I'm going to take this case on my own. You know, I was planning on retiring anyway. So this just means that I'm going to be retiring a little bit earlier because I got to help this boy out. So now when he comes to his wife Martha's speech and tells her that, you know, he's taking the case, she's pissed because she's like, we had a plan, we talked about it, you said you was about to retire and that, you know, we were going to focus on me and my career now. And then when the reporter overhears that, you know, here she is with defund the police running for office, and here Franklin is taking this case with a cop, you know, supposed killer. He's like, oh, y'all interested couple. So now, of course, this piques his interest. And like I said, at the same time, you know, Logan and these officers are sitting around the table, and, you know, he's even asking the lieutenant, you know, oh, well, what was his place as far as sergeant? You know, was he up there at the top of the list? Was there a chance of him getting it? And the lieutenant even lies about that and says yes, and says that he was like number 3, and it was definitely a chance that he could have got it had he not died. And of course, Logan knows that all of that part is a lie too. You know, we then had the funeral, like I said, where they're all giving these speeches. You know, I think it's like the commissioner or somebody that's saying he was like a son to him, and you could tell that this is still really bothering Logan. So he actually pulls him to the side, was like, can we have a conversation? And he starts to tell him about the Wire thing. And he shuts him down immediately. He was like, look, right now his family's going to be able to get benefits, or his kids are going to be able to go to college. He was like, if he had whatever secrets that, he went with him when he died, then that's where they should stay. They should stay buried. We should all be so lucky because all of us have secrets. And he was like, do you get what I'm saying? And Logan tells him, yeah, So then when he goes downstairs in the basement part of the house, I guess this was like an office area that Michael kept, he having a drink down there. The wife comes down there, and he actually gets a chance to bring the wire up to her and say, when he died, he had this wire on him. And she's like, I didn't know what he was doing, but she gets cut off because the son comes in, and of course they don't want to talk about it in front of the little boy. So at this point it's like, okay, things is getting deeper. Okay, I'm guessing they will have another conversation about it again when they get a chance. You have Joshua coming home all depressed and sad, and they're trying to get ready for this funeral. He comes out. Of course, the mom is crying. This is having an effect on both of them, and both of them are trying to be strong for each other. They essentially get ready for this funeral. And we realized that the funeral was actually for the boy that was, from the beginning, right? And we have Logan come up, and officers ask him, like, what are you doing here? Was you placed to be here too? And he was like, no, I just was coming. So at first he's standing at the back of the church. But then the people in the church is pissed. They like, we know who you are. And we know that, that was your partner that you was with. And we don't want you here. We actually have, Moses' mother go and comfort the boy's mother, whatever have you, which I thought was interesting because at one point he was pointing the gun at her daggone son. But in the midst of this, they actually say, you're not gonna come in here and disrespect Tutu's funeral. And Logan is like, Tutu? That's when he realizes that this is the same daggone person, y'all, that his freaking partner was talking about, that he had on the wire. And this is the CI that he met in the bathroom. So he goes racing off to listen to the wire again, and of course when he listens to it again, he hears Tutu loud and clear. So now this makes me think, did they kill Tutu on purpose? Okay, was that already the plan, being as though Michael put his name out there? Maybe this wasn't just a thing of shooting him because y'all saw him with that gun up. Maybe y'all were going to do that regardless, right? And so then we have Franklin going back to the doctor. They do confirm that he has cancer, is an aggressive cancer, and he is going to have to go ahead and get into this treatment, okay? So, of course, that's not good news for him, or whatever the case may be. And he still haven't told his wife nothing. She comes home from work, and this reporter's outside messing with her son, talking about some freedom of press and freedom of speech. She was like, no. Don't come messing with my son. Don't call him by his name. Don't talk to him like you know him, because you don't. And that pissed me off too, because obviously he could tell that this boy is freaking autistic, and he had no business approaching them at all. That was very disrespectful. They go to court for Franklin, and of course the judge puts the bill at $1 million. He not trying to let him out. Franklin tells the mom that means we will have to come up with 100,000. She says, well, I'm gonna come up with the money. I'll do my part, you do yours. I trust you, you trust me. And he's like, how you gonna do that? And she said, don't worry about it. I said, okay, mama. You have Franklin's wife Martha call up the doctor, and the doctor's basically like, yeah, I know this is going to be hard, and it is a big process, and I'm so sorry about Franklin, and I know it's tough for you all with this cancer, and I'm going to tell you the things that you need to do, to help him. But in the meantime, she did not know, okay? He's telling her that her role is going to be critical, and so she just kind of sits down, very shocked, hang up the daggone phone with him, don't know what the hell to say. And we see Moses' mom come home, and she is basically making these shirts where she's putting Moses Johnson on the front of them really big. I don't know if this is going to be like a fundraiser. This going to be something that she's going to try to tell everybody to wear in support of Moses or whatever have you, but she gets right to work on that. You have the lieutenant come and see Logan and ask him, what was that about with you go showing up at the funeral? And he makes up a story just saying how he was so distraught and upset and he didn't know which way to look and what to do, and he just kind of went there to vent and whatever have you. And so the lieutenant tells him, you got people that's here for you, and if you don't lean on them, then they're gonna lean on you, and make sure that you know it. He was like, you in here finishing off a whole bottle of scotch on your own, we not gonna have that. And he tells him that they have like some kind of card game, pokers or something on Wednesdays, and to come on through, and that they are gonna help him get through. But he knows that the lieutenant is full of crap, and he was scared as hell that he showed up because he thought that, he knew about the wire. And so when he leaves, we see Franklin going to the crime scene and basically doing like a demonstration, trying to figure out what exactly happened there. He also notices the camera, and he pretty much sees the layout of how, everything went down, and the fact that he fell back and hit his head when he got down on the ground to demonstrate and see how he hit his head on the nail and all of that. That's when he notices the camera. So all of this is good stuff for him. And while he's down there on the ground, we have this boy come over and say, are you the cops? And he say, no, I'm a lawyer. He says, what kind of lawyer? He says, Franklin's lawyer. And he says, Moses' lawyer, I should say. And he says, well, I saw everything. So now you have an eyewitness too, which the cops don't know about this. And I'm like, okay, now we talking. All right, now get it, lawyer. And so he says, can I talk to you? And he starts to basically give, Franklin Roberts a breakdown that starts to make him feel like, okay, yeah, maybe I can, win this. Maybe it's not all going to hell because, of course, with Moses signing, the paper and him not being able to get him out, that kind of discouraged him. All right. So now he's kind of feeling good. And, he goes back to Moses and tells him, in your statement, you say that the officer hit his head as a consequence of me. And he says, we thought that this was going to be, used against you, or was going to be able to put you away. But in all actuality, your confession, okay, is not against you, baby. This is going to be your defense. All right. So we got something to look forward to there. And, then he got had to go home or whatever have you. And when he gets home, he's just trying to come in like, oh, hey, how you doing? Had a good day, and acting like ain't nothing wrong. And, the wife is like, I know. Okay, I know it all. Okay, she knows about the cancer rather. She goes and gives him a big hug. And at the same time that they're showing him and her hugging him, we are seeing Moses in the cell, and he just takes off his sneakers and basically starts jogging in place, exercising, and that is how the episode ended, y'all. So I don't know what y'all thinking about this. Are y'all watching it? Have y'all checked it out? Do you think you will check it out? Is this anything that is of interest to you guys? Would you like to hear some more reviews on it? Put it all in the comments. Let's discuss. All right, till next time.